Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
And so we started with the wrong track this morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Wednesday, September 13th, 2023, and it is another Waterfront Wednesdays, and we are excited to have you here with us this morning. This morning, we have guests from the YMCA that are going to talk to us about a lot of the programming that is going on there. And I am determined, I mentioned to you guys yesterday that there are some interesting issues with the headphones these days, and I want to make sure that I can hear my guest. All right, I think we're as good as we're going to be. I can hear myself, so that means I'll be able to hear my guest. But the YMCA, Allie and Jeremy are getting ready to come in. I just wanted to take a pause for a second. Quite a few people reached out yesterday and said, hey, are you doing an election night show? And for the first time in 3 years, we did not. And I don't know if we always did a primary show, but we're definitely doing one in November. And so I just want to acknowledge that. I got the text. I got the a couple of inboxes as well. Hey, you're not going live with the results? No, not last night. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. However, what we are here to talk about this morning is Waterfront Wednesday. We have this once a month, every second Wednesday. And so this month, we are excited to have Allie and Jeremy with us this morning. So we're going to bring them in. And I've already learned, I knew a little bit because I had some friends that worked at the YMCA. I actually worked at the Roxbury YMCA. This might be an interesting trivial piece of information for you. I was there when Harold Sparrow was just a branch manager.
Awesome.
So that's how far I go back with the Y. Very familiar with it, its work in general, and its impact in different neighborhoods in Boston. And so I'll start with Allie. Please say good morning. Tell us a little bit about yourself. And today is We Need to Know Wednesday. So describe what you're going to share today. Describe that with one word. How you feel about what you're going to share today. Since it's We Need to Know Wednesday, we're going to learn a lot about the why. So say good morning, introduce yourself, and then use one word about what we need to know today about the why.
Okay, you bet. Well, thank you. So thrilled to be here this morning and speak with you, represent an organization that is deeply near and dear to my heart. So I'm Allie Ricketson. I have the privilege of serving as the Senior Association Director for Child Development. So supporting our school age work across the city of Boston and further out, specifically in our school age work, our day camps, our after schools. I've been with the association a little over 14 years. Now, came straight from grad school and have loved every minute of it. And so I would say really what we're going to hit on today in one word would be impact.
That's not fair because that is my foundational mission word for this platform. So Allie, you're good. You're good. Okay. Jeremy, good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here today. My name is Jeremy Stiles. I'm the Senior Association Director of Aquatics here at the YMCA of Greater Boston, and blessed to have the opportunity to serve our aquatics departments and teams across our footprint, but more importantly, to be able to do this work in the community to help make our communities a safer place. And for me, the one word that I want to talk about today is going to be engagement. How can we engage the community to get them access to these important life-saving skills and resources they need to keep them safe?
Okay. And let's just name the I will say elephant in the room. Somebody has construction. I know either one of you might be, oh my God, what's going on? It happens, different things like that. Listen, it's okay. We've had trash trucks, police, ambulance, everything in the background here, so we're good. And so, Jeremy, I'll start with you. We'll talk about the aquatics just because, you know, in the waterfront conversations, we've often talked about the importance of knowing how to swim. Young people, older people. And so well, before we talk about the aquatics, I'm not sure who's going to speak to this. And it may be you, Allie, because what's happening at the Y in general, this school year, you guys are open all year long, but maybe let's start with that and then maybe go into the aquatics.
Absolutely. Yeah, we just wrapped up one of our largest summer seasons ever. So we serve over 25 day camp locations. We had the honor of having over 28,000 camper weeks. And so we named that of, a representation of a single camper coming each week. So when you spread that across all 25 plus day camps, it's an impact. And so we feel really, really proud of that. Do some incredible summer learning work with our partners at Boston Public Schools, Boston After School and Beyond. We work with Bell Excel in the suburbs, and so have 16 summer learning academies. So wrapped that up a couple Fridays ago, and then we take Labor Day weekend off, and then we very much start up again.
One weekend.
One weekend. We take one weekend off. So my teams listening are like, yes, Allie, you give us one weekend. And then we have to shift gears and start with, we kick off some professional development, and then we start after school. So we're in over 50 locations for after school, some of which are both before school, after school. Those are based in our Y branches. Those are based in community centers. And the meat of our work is really based in schools. So we're in over 20 Boston public schools. And then when we think about our suburban communities, we're in a large number of those schools where we're housed right in their facility, kicking that off. So excited where we're nearing close to 2,500 students. Our goal for the end of the fall is really to hit about 3,000 students across our before and after school program. So a really big number and a mission to be open to all. And I think that's what Jeremy and I will really talk about today, is that our programs are open to all, for all, and we want to meet families where they're at to make sure that we are supporting and accommodating both the working family as well as the family that needs us for a multitude of reasons, or the family that's looking for some innovative enrichment for their child to step outside the box and do something new, and expand their skill set. And so with that, we've been rolling that over. So definitely year round. And then the last piece, and I'll turn it over to Jeremy, is really thinking about, we run our early education programs year round. And so we have 9 early education centers and serve over 450 early learners, whether that's birth to age 5. And so really a robust model that the Y is here to support. And we're always looking to grow and expand, and want to be, again, meeting our communities and our families where they're at. So we are continually kind of evolving with what our work looks like, what our partnership opportunities look like. And there's no idea or question or challenge that we're not willing to take on. And I think COVID was our biggest test of that, but all has really been an honor. So excited to continue to serve our community this school year.
Absolutely. One of the skill sets that you talk about, and the Y is most famous for, and we're hearing that there's so much more than just the aquatics, but Jeremy, your area, the aquatics, the Y is known, if you think about commercials, through the years, even with the rebrand and things like that, you always see the little kid jumping in the pool with the aquatics director, and they're learning how to swim. That is just, it's a brand piece of the Y. You can't get away from it. And so, but that is in relation, and Allie, I'll come back to you and talk about the relationship with the Waterfront Coalition and how important that is in this work. Jeremy, tell us what's going on with aquatics. Have there been any changes? Unfortunately, you both, I'm sure, are aware that right here close to Boston, and actually one in South Boston a few years ago, a lot of young people have succumbed to drowning. And circumstances, we're not aware of details and whatnot. But one thing that is for sure, and I say this with the most sincerity that I can, with no indication of anything else. But if these young people knew maybe or know how to swim, that is just the unfortunate reality that we just have to embrace. And so I hate to start from there, but it is important, and it's something that we've talked about a lot, Jeremy, that swimming is not just fun. It also, in different circumstances, can be life-saving. And so kind of heavy to set you up like that, but Jeremy, I'm sure you can handle it. I'm sure you can swim through it, bro.
Oh, I see what you did there, and I appreciate that. So you are absolutely correct. Despite our best efforts after the rebrand, the Y is still known to some degree as your local gym and swim, right? But what you said about swimming is so important. Yes, it's an important life skill. Yes, it's a great team activity. We have folks that are incredible competitive swimmers. In fact, some of our city swimmers are now statewide and region-wide ranked. We're super proud and excited of that. But really what you touched on is that this is a safety skill that everybody needs to have and that everybody needs to have access to. When we talk about teaching swim lessons at the YMCA, what we're actually trying to do is teach the individual how to be safe around the water before we even teach them what to do once they're inside of the water. And we have some really key foundational things that we teach, whether they be in our formalized swim lessons or through our national curriculum, which is what we call safety around water. And that is about teaching the parents. It's about teaching the children. It's about teaching the community how to be safe with a couple of those key elements. So for example, one of those elements, as crazy as this may sound, is asking for permission every time before we enter the water. So I've got a 4-year-old here running around like crazy at the house. Every time we go swimming in a pool, if he's jumping into that pool 13 times, he'll ask my permission 13 times, plus that one more time to get into the pool. Does it wear on our nerves from time to time? Is it hard to enforce? It sure is. But that young man won't go anywhere near a body of water without asking an adult first, because we have now made it muscle memory from the age of 6 months that we ask before we go in.
So can I just chime in real quick for folks that are listening, that is something that they're going to walk away free with today, that early on you train your young people, even if you only go to the beach once in a while, folks go to the vineyard and whatnot, as early as possible, you train your young people that every time you're going in the water to ask. Okay.
Absolutely. And we'll focus on other things like jump, push, turn, grab. We teach a child or an adult to jump in the water, push off the bottom, turn around and grab that wall, or to swim to safety. We teach other skills like swim, float, swim toward shore until you're tired, roll over, float, catch your breath, and then roll back over and continue that swimming. Those 3 things are really the foundation. And you'll see those in our safety around water curriculum. And then you'll also see them right inside of the swim lesson curriculum. And what's exciting about that swim lesson curriculum is that our goal is to provide wraparound services. This isn't about learning to swim at the YMCA. It's about learning to be safe near the water. Okay. So mom and dad will get take-home letters. They'll get activities they can do and practice at home. We have character and safety development topics that we'll discuss. We're teaching little kids how to call 911. We're teaching parents how to perform rescue breaths. This is about looking at the community as a whole. And truthfully, I've been doing this with the Y for, we'll just say, over 2 decades at this point. For me,
we'll just say over 2 decades. Okay.
It shifted when I had my first little one. Right?
Okay.
And something shifted in me. And now my passion is teaching the parents. And that's another message I want people to take around too. Parents, you need to be safe, and you need to know how to keep your kiddos safe. We've done a lot of research in this field. And what we find is that there tends to be this, what we call generational demonization of water. Grandma has a baby and doesn't have access to water, for whatever that reason may be. And then that baby has a baby and says, don't go near the water. And 2, 3, 4 generations later, we've got a whole family that has set their whole life up around not going to the water. But we live in New England. There are community pools, the beach, the lake, the river. We're going to end up near the water. And, you mentioned trying not to get too heavy with this, but here's what I can tell you. I can tell you that 80% of children under the age of 4 that drown are drowning under supervision. 60% of those kids are often drowning within arm's reach of their parents. And it's because mom thinks that dad's watching, or dad thinks that mom's watching, vice versa, or we think that the kid's safe, they're with a big cousin or whatever that may be. And a drowning doesn't just touch one life. It touches the whole family. It touches the community. It touches those that are there. And, you mentioned the unfortunate drownings that have happened as well. Parents, water safety isn't just knowing about how to keep your children safe near the water. It's about keeping you safe and knowing what to do when you're near the water. You want to make sure that, if there's an emergency, you know what your abilities are and how to get help and get it as quickly as you can. And what you want to be very cautious of is not putting yourself beyond your means. We see way too many unfortunate drownings where a good Samaritan, a parent, somebody standing by, sees somebody in distress and then goes to provide that assistance, but ends up outside of their means, and then they become a victim as well. And that's truly heartbreaking. So in terms of what the YMCA of Greater Boston is doing to address this, we're in our seasonal shift, just like Allie and her team. We work really hard to provide access to all those summer camp swimmers during the summer. And now we're gearing up to bring our school age kids back. We're gearing up to bring more lessons into the community. We tend to see this dip as the weather gets colder. But we want to remind people that swimming isn't just for warm weather. If you can get a child or an adult that's a non-swimmer in lessons now, we have 24 weeks before we hit our next swim season. We can take somebody with no swim skills, whatsoever, and make them a fully competent and capable swimmer in those 24 weeks. So we are really ramping up to deliver programming in the off season, and super exciting that we are working with the city of Boston to provide free swim lessons. So to date, we have served 894 children through free swim lessons, through the city grant and through our other grants and partnerships, and are gearing up to begin that work again. We have a waiting list of over 3,000 community individuals who have reached out trying to get access to those lessons. And now our team is working diligently night and day to get those people placed so that we can teach the important life-saving skill of swimming.
Jeremy, there's so much, and I know I said I was going to go to Allie, but again, I told you all also in the pre-convo, I go based off of answers. And so Allie, we're going to come back, and actually you can jump in on or after Jeremy's answer around this. I did mention to both of you that in these conversations and in the work of the Coalition for a Resilient and Inclusive Waterfront, this topic, a lot of the stats that you named around the grandmother not, being around water, and then it stems into the next generation. Presumably, that is predominantly, maybe not the reason, but that predominance of not in the water being passed on to generation is in the black and brown communities a lot. And so I thank you for naming that in general. But we've talked, and this is an authentic space. We've talked about how there's a disproportionate impact around the fear and things of water in black and brown communities. There's a whole bunch associated with that, different theories and whatnot. But the fact remains that what I heard from you was that this is a skill safety set, a safety skill. That was the quote that you actually said. Let me get it up so I can get it right. You said swimming is a safety skill. And so I just want to reiterate that, and also talk how that, and Allie, you can jump in here, talk about how, or Jeremy, you can start the association with the coalition. What is, from your perspective, why is that so important to be involved with the coalition, based on what you said about some of the inequities, maybe with availability of different things in reference to the water, being able to get to the water, access things like that? Why is it so important that the YMCA is a member of the coalition?
Great question. Drowning is everybody's work. It's my life's work, but it is everybody's work.
We can see that. We can see that this thing. Yeah.
So every year, 3,600 people drown in the United States, and that's a preventable drowning. And for folks like myself, our commitment is that we're not going to stop our work until that number is zero. And so we have a long way to go to bringing that number down. And it's important to be a part of a coalition like this because, believe it or not, sometimes getting this message out is more difficult than you would think.
Yeah.
You try and offer these services and it doesn't, if you're not engaged in the community or don't have the right connections, you may not be able to connect to those folks that really need it. And it's difficult work. There is a nationwide lifeguard shortage right now. So we are trying to train and recruit and bring people from all aspects of life. Our biggest demographic for staffing right now is we're trying to hire in retirees to come be lifeguards for us. And so joining a coalition like this allows us, the partnership to be able to think creatively. It gives us access to more resources, and it allows us to really get that message deep into the community where it needs to be heard so that we can bring people to these great resources and help improve the safety and quality of their life.
Allie, I know you're ready to jump right in there. The coalition has its work. You guys have its work. It's almost it wouldn't make sense if the Y was not a part of this coalition right here in Boston. And so what is the relevance, the importance from your perspective of being a part of the coalition and working toward inclusivity and diversity and equity? Talk about that. And I know some of the Y's mission and whatnot. So talk about that partnership and relationship.
Yeah, I think, and hearing Jeremy, he said so many things that I could keep building on, and he is just a sensational partner to work with.
Yeah.
And especially as we prepare to have all those thousands and thousands of children in the summer, that we are not only so tactful with how are we preparing them and what will swim look like at every single one of our day camps and programs, but we also think extremely thoughtfully about our employees. Because for some of them, they did not get the swim lessons, and they are very much a part of that community that has tremendous fear of the water. And so I so appreciate Jeremy and his team for how we think about how we show up for our employees, so that if they have a fear, how we help empathize with that. There is no judgment on it, but how we also help them understand the value of their skills and their comfort in water awareness and just all of those components within. So wanted to name that it's very much core to the children and the families, but we also do think very thoughtfully about our communities and the employees within those communities and what their experience has been. Because swim in the summer could be just as triggering for them as it is for Johnny, who's a 6-year-old who's about to try it out. So really is something that I value, that the Y is really thinking thoughtfully about how we best support our team members so that they can best support and show up for our communities, our members, our children, our families. I think to your question with the coalition, another massive value I feel for the Y is that we show up in a space where we don't pretend to always be the expert. And we know when and how to partner with others who may be more of the expert, or to be that convener and be a part of that group. And I think I've seen over my tenure at the Y, really the Y always having a seat at the table, or encouraging a table to start, and who we should bring together and how we should bring one another together, so that we can really think thoughtfully, learn from one another, and then identify what roles we can each play. And I think that's such a value with the coalition, as Jeremy mentioned, of how we each show up for one another, what we can each bring, and how we can complement the work versus competing.
Absolutely. One of the things that I hear coming from you, Allie, is, well, from both of you, and we haven't blatantly said it, but there is, I like how Jeremy said gym and swim. The Y is more than that. I've heard from you indications of wraparound services. You don't just get the young people in and just do the after school and send them home. We know, and there's a lot of conversation about, things starting at home, value of life and different things. We also know, and you kind of touch on this, is that sometimes the homes are dealing with a lot and need different levels of support. And so I'm hearing from you that if you have a young person that's in the Y, or older person, that there are other services available. There are quality of life sort of connections or services. I don't know if I ever remember hearing the term case manager in my time at the Y. I remember member services, aquatics, the gym folks and whatnot. There was the teen or the youth person as well. But can you talk a little bit as we get ready to wrap up about other services that are offered? And then I cannot leave without asking you all, there's a private chat there. I can get the general website, but if there's a phone number or email address that folks can email and get direct contact to get into aquatics, to get into whatever's going on in the fall in the different Ys, to find out, maybe they may not know where their local Y is. And so as we get ready to wrap up, if either one of you can speak to that.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know how much time you have for me to actually share everything that our association and our scope of work. I mean, there's tremendous work coming out of our teen department where I have just been so inspired by them of how they think about college and career readiness and just opportunities for our teens well outside of just some programming on a Friday night. It is just so robust of how they bring in experts from the field throughout the city of Boston to just talk about opportunities, how they do college tours. There's leadership opportunities. There's a lot of government opportunities to learn about politics and how our students can engage there. We've been doing some incredibly innovative work with Boston Public Schools and their hub school work of really thinking about how are we meeting the needs of the whole child and the whole family? How can your school be this one-stop shop that has everything from education, before and after school services, but how does it have mental health services? How does it have the dentist? How does it have the eye doctor? How does it really have this robust model where families feel safe of going to that school? And how can we bring all the services to the school? So that's just one project. I mean, we have had an incredible skyrocketing growth with our food insecurity programming. We have a massive warehouse out in East Boston now, and how we play such a core role in feeding millions across the city of Boston, which has just grown tremendously. We have an education and training component of our association, which does everything from ESOL classes and helping others prepare for the workforce and what that coursework can be, to our traditional of really robust fitness programs, Group X, lots of active older adults. I know many of our branches have spent a lot of time thinking tactfully of how do we show up for our older population and what are they looking for, and doing lots of focus groups so that, again, it's not just Jeremy and I sitting making assumptions of what we should do in aquatics or what we should do in child development, really bringing our families, bringing our members to the table to truly get at what are they looking for and how can the Y continue to grow and evolve and meet the communities where they're at and what they need. And so just a tremendous growth. And I know I didn't hit on even half of the work that we do, but really it's incredible to be a part of an organization that is continually evolving and changing, which I think makes our job so fun. And just, again, looking at opportunities of how can we partner with other really key experts, learners, stakeholders to better grow what we are doing, but also to learn what others are doing and show up in different ways for our community, the state of Massachusetts, and certainly support some of our national work as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for that answer, and very comprehensive answer. Jeremy, let me ask you, you alluded that, you've been at the Y for a little bit. How have you seen it evolve? Because Ali spoke with that, and I hear that it's program models and things like that. You don't just put them in place and leave them there. You constantly, it's a cyclical process of evaluation and going back. Ali talked about focus groups and whatnot. How have you seen the Y change through the years, and what do you hope that evolution continues, or what track do you hope that change continues on? And we're also going to get ready to share some information with you all.
Perfect. So the Y aims to be a forward-facing organization. So change is important, right? The needs of our community are always adapting and shifting. And so it's our job not only to keep up with those needs, but sort of to look further down the road and anticipate what's coming. Ali did an incredible job just mentioning, a portion of the programs we do. But the 2 points I want to make just to highlight what Ali added is, First, our services are cradle to grave. So I want everybody out there listening today to understand it does not matter what age or stage you are at in life. There is something at the Y for you, whether it be pickleball, which is America's fastest growing sport.
I've heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah. A senior social, we're having coffee in the lobby. We have something for everybody. And the other thing is that the Y is for all. It is for everyone. We will never let money be a barrier to access. We have grants, we have scholarships, we have access programs. So the two things I really wanted to highlight there are that we are for all and we are cradle to grave in terms of the services we provide. In terms of how the Y's adapted, the Y's had to adapt quite a bit. We were chatting earlier about this being America's first Y. Not a lot of people know, but we had one of the first indoor pools in the country. We invented the formal lifeguard certification and programming. The Y invented swim lessons. And for so many years, they were sort of the expert in the space. And we just kind of kept doing the same old. And so I can think back to about 2010 to 2015, right along the time that rebrand of the Y happened. There was also a really intentional effort for the Y as a movement, not just as a local organization, but as a movement to look inwards. And that's actually when a major shift happened. Allie mentioned not being prescriptive with our services, right? Mm-hmm. Not pretending to be the expert. I'd like to own that that's a little bit of a change for the Y over the past, 150 years plus, where we've really tried to say, hey, if we're not the expert, how can we share our expertise? And how can we leverage that and engage with the people that are the experts? And so that swim lesson curriculum I was mentioning, that's a great example. Prior to the change of the swim lesson curriculum, there was no drowning prevention program. This new curriculum added the drowning prevention program, safety around water. And then it took the focus away from learning how to freestyle, front crawl, back crawl, something like that, to actually, how do you just be safe before you're in the water? And then it went from, how do we get people into the lessons that we offer at our Y. That was kind of the way of old. And Allie said it so greatly. Now what we're looking at is how do we get the lessons to the people and not the other way around?
Sure.
One of my favorite programs that we're running right now is out of the Mario Amana School over in East Boston. They had a pool that sat in that building, heated, treated, filled with water for over a decade, but not a person put a foot in it.
Please don't bring that up right now, because there was some recent coverage about the availability.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, thank you for that warning. That is a good warning. But now we're able to bring services to a community that didn't have it. In our East Boston YMCA didn't have a pool. And so now we have a branch that has access to a pool, but furthermore, we can then, run that pool right in the community. We open that up to the kids that are at the Umana Academy. We open that up to the public for swim lessons. And shout out to my friends at the Umana. That is our strongest bilingual program. We're teaching full bilingual swim lessons over there, really changing the way we provide that service. So to answer the question more pointedly, I think it's just about listening to our community and challenging ourselves to think differently so that we can meet the needs of where people are at and bring the services to them.
I was familiar with the Y, and if I'm stuttering, that really means something, because I'm trying to get my thoughts together and get it out. I just didn't know the extent. And I had an idea, wraparound services. I've seen cooking lessons. I've seen seniors. But at this comprehensive level, to get sort of a snapshot, an overview of what the Y does, besides, I like how you said that, Jeremy, gym and swim. You know what I mean? And the piece, Allie, you mentioned about, we had someone on that works with Greater Boston Food Bank a couple of weeks ago, and they talked about a lot of the food insecurities. They named the piece, we know young people are going back to school. In some cases, some presume that the families that are dealing with food insecurities are okay, but maybe not, you know what I mean? And so to hear about that as well is just so interesting and enlightening for folks to know that these aren't just services available at Central. Y's across Boston and Massachusetts, you can go in and sign it. And memberships typically are very low for families, correct? And young people as well. And so I wanted folks to know that if, first of all, if you want information about the aquatics, this may not necessarily be Jeremy, but him and someone from his team, You can email them at aquatics@ymcaboston.org. Also, Allie and both Jeremy are getting, I have about 7 links in our private chat to put up. So I'm gonna make sure we get them all up. There is, and these are hyperlinks. So if you're watching right now, you can, after the show, or if you want the information, go now. You can hyperlink to information about the teen programs. You can also hyperlink to information about youth education. You can also hyperlink to get contact information. And I believe, Jeremy, this is where you find your local branch.
That's correct.
The YMCA for there. And so we got some of our, I call Mother's Board in here. Sister Debbie said, I learned to swim at the Y in the 60s. Sister Debbie, you didn't, we thought you were swimming in the 80s, not the 60s. And also Pastor Marion mentioned back in the early 70s, when I worked at the Roxbury Y, exposing infants and parents to swimming lessons was one of the largest and active programs that we offered. So we're seeing, even in these comments, that there is a long-standing history, of the Y having the impacting community. One last question I maybe ask Allie about is, since 2020 and George Floyd, and I hear some of this coming out of you already, but I would ask you to speak directly to it, is how has the Y committed and more demonstration of its mission into the inclusivity, and I hear about the partnerships and naming that we may not be the experts and we may not know always how to get in, but what is, and if you want to build on that more, how is the Y aggressively working around the, let's just simply say, the DEI work that needs to happen in our community for equity and an equitable quality of life?
Yeah, I guess this is one I would certainly say we don't pretend to be any expert in, and we are consistently humbling ourselves to learn and grow and put ourselves in a place where we feel comfortable with the uncomfortable conversations and really show up well for our employees, especially our employees and team members and leaders of color. We had some really incredible larger sessions and forums that our former CEO would help facilitate, especially deep in 2020 when so much was happening, that were both a mix of, very much expected, and for the entire association to, as an open forum, to have some of these conversations and to share where are we showing up and where aren't we, and what do we need to do better and how can we do better. And then, different opportunities where I've seen everything from book clubs throughout our association that are, more internal of how do we learn, how do we grow, how do we evolve. And I think we are always consistently committed to employing our leaders that look and represent the communities that we're serving. And also just being very, very self-aware, and it's a constant learning, it's a constant growing. I mean, obviously I don't know how many people can actually see us, but Jeremy and I are a real name. We are very much white leaders in the organization, and so we need to hold that space, and we need to know what we bring in, what we don't, and how we need to show up and how we need to learn and grow to really best support the communities that we're serving, both in the city and outside. And as well as the language piece, we've really been working intentionally of how can our language, because especially when you look at our website, the meat of our website is in English. So it's one that we are absolutely committed to growing and evolving, because we know that is not all folks can read and understand. And so it's one that, I guess I'll continue to say we are absolutely committed to our DEI work, both, what we're showing externally, but also what we're working on internally, and how we best support, and just always being vulnerable and always growing and always learning.
Allie, I appreciate that. And Jeremy, you're welcome to speak to it as well. Someone who has been there and seen, because you spoke to the fact about not being prescriptive, and over 20 years, that's a good amount of time to see the improvement in the work that the Y does toward equity and inclusion. And so you're welcome to speak to that as well. But it just, Allie, to hear what you're talking about, I've heard the programmatic and things, but just to observe both of you that are in leadership, and you said, I don't know how many people can see us, but we are white. It just, even in that statement and whatnot, and just it because DEI became this sort of buzz trendy piece, and I think it was someone on yesterday or earlier this week that talked about the fact of it's all good if it's on paper, but if it's not being demonstrated like you two are talking about today. So, Jeremy, I really want to make sure Allie has the last word since she's up here with us, two testosterone carriers. We'll give Allie the last word. But Jeremy, if you wanted to speak to that before Allie closes us out, in reference to what you've observed as well around the commitment to, equity, diversity, and inclusion.
Yeah, I think it really started with, going back to not being prescriptive, not making assumptions. And what that meant is really listening, like sitting down and really, really listening. But that also meant opening up the space to have the conversation. And that is not always easy to do. And one of the challenges that we faced and what we're always working mindfully and intentionally on is making sure that we represent the community, right? And that we have staff that represent the community, which just, it makes it easier to open that door. It proves that it is an inclusive, space and engagement, and that it really just isn't that buzzword, right? That marketing or that hiring word just to keep going, right? Like it's about walking the walk. And to Allie's point, sometimes that means uncomfortable conversations, but for me, it's moving away from the prescriptive. It's opening the door to have that conversation. It's about listening and listening well, and making sure that we've got, not just staff, but staff and participants that really reflect the community.
Okay. This was good. This was very inspiring. And again, I know a lot about the Y. Used to work there, know a lot of people that work there, and very familiar with the Roxbury branch, the Dorchester branch, and Huntington Ave as well, with doing the work with Cookie there. And so I really appreciate both of you coming in and not just sharing the information, but sharing sort of the philosophical approach that the Y takes to doing this work, not just around swim and gym, but just around addressing food insecurities, wraparound services for not just the young people. Both of you often talked about not just the youth, but working with the parents and supporting them as well. And so we just want to make sure again that you all, and Pastor Marion says, thank you, Jeremy and Allie, for representing the best, or this is a good marketing clip, the best organization in town, the YMCA. We have folks that have been in here for years. I played basketball at the Y. It was called the YBA back in the day. And so it is definitely amazing to hear about the impact we've had on people that I've known, and we've never even talked about their experience at the Y. And so we want to make sure that you all see one of the major things is this part of the website, which is contact. That has all the information, the local branch, the central branch, as well as the local branches where there are services. Each branch may not look the same as far as the services, but I'm sure if there's one that has one service and the other one doesn't, there's some way that they figure out how to make things happen. If they're, and both of them were sitting there going, yep. So that's where you go to get all of the information, and specifically to swimming, because that is a topic that we talk about here on Waterfront Wednesdays on every second Wednesday. I just want to make sure that I highlight the Swim for All link as well. I think I put it in here earlier, but if not, I could just go back because Allie or Jeremy put it in here for me. There it goes. Swim Lessons for All. I want to hyperlink that in the comments. So you have the direct link right there to go get information about Swimming for All. Ian is in and saying, thank you, Allie and Jeremy and Jimmy, for having this conversation. People are really, I went to the Dorchester Y back in 1978. And so, Dina, you sure that wasn't 1998? About 78. But no, I appreciate both of you. I don't know if either one of you are making it out tonight to Cocktails and Conversation. I said it's a Waterfront Wednesday all day, but hopefully I will get to meet both of you very, very soon. Please keep us abreast. We've done some work with the young people there as well. So if you all are doing anything with the young people, podcasting or whatever, just reach out. We'll be glad to chat about that. But Allie, I would like for you to give Dina said 1998 was her daughter. That was a good comeback, Dina. So Allie, did we miss anything? You have the last word.
No small task. No, I think this was an incredible opportunity. We're deeply grateful for you for, allowing us to talk about something that we could we could talk about for hours and days. I think that's something that hooks us, is the Y is committed to its community, it's committed to its members, and we do our best to make sure our team members feel that same level of commitment and investment as well. But to everyone, I say absolutely ask the questions. Participate, and no question is too big or too small. And if we're not doing something, challenge us. And as we talked about multiple times today, innovation is certainly something we are always looking at, and partnership opportunities. And so again, deeply grateful to the city of Boston, and just our opportunity to be here and keep growing and thriving for our community and who we serve. And so appreciate again the opportunity to be here today.
Absolutely. And folks are really appreciative. Miss Teresa from out in Worcester, thank you both for the great information. So I thank both of you. I'm going to go pump up tonight's event at the aquarium, but please keep us abreast of things that are going on. Send flyers and information, and we'll chat soon. Thank both of you.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Listen, everyone, all of our Waterfront Wednesdays are definitely awesome, but that one, this is an entity that's been in our organization. This is an entity that's been in our community for a long time. And just to hear from both of them and hear the information that they shared as well. I mentioned cocktails and conversations that's taking place this evening at 6 o'clock. We are going to broadcast live at 6 o'clock. But if you are able to and would like to attend, I'm going to put the link in the comments. This is my second year being a part of the event. Shout out to the Dewey Square folks and the New England Aquarium. We hosted, I think last year it was cocktails and coastlines. This year it's cocktails and conversations, and we're going to talk about things that are going on in the community, specifically around the waterfront. What are the conversations that are happening? What are the decisions that are being made? What are your ideas? What are your concerns? And so that's taking place this evening at the New England Aquarium. We will be live. I think the panel starts about 6:15. And so we'll go live right when the panel gets ready to start. And so the link is right there. It's hyperlinked in the comments if you would like to attend. Tomorrow morning, we have a wonderful session with a brother from, and I just knew I was going to remember this. Hold on for 1 second. Jock Payton is coming in to speak with us about investing and financing and decreasing the wealth gap. And Jock is the founder and CEO of the Nubian Square Investment Advisors, LLC, a purpose-driven and Black-owned financial planning and wealth management business based in Brookline. The company provides financial education, financial planning, and investment services with a mission to invest sustainable solutions in ways to close the racial wealth gap. So I did have most of it covered. And so he'll be with us tomorrow, on Thursday. And on Friday, we have a special edition of the Java Cafe with Mayor Wu, who will be with us on Friday at 9 a.m. That's it for me today. We will see you tomorrow with Jock talking about decreasing the wealth gap with the Nubian Square investment folks. And we'll talk to you then. Have a great day, everybody. And